advice from the experts.
Lorna Milton.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Something tells me we're in for a popular expert hour this afternoon. I think we've all done it. To what degree, though, we all do it is a completely, well, it's a vast open book, this one. There are occasions when you feel everybody in the world is just asleep apart from you. You are wide awake and you lie there and you lie there, then you think, I'll blow it, I'll get up and have a drink, then you try again, no. Put the telly on, no. Read a book, no. Listen to the radio, no. Count sheep even. I have been known to do it. Now, when it comes to sleep, if you don't get enough of it, it affects your health, it affects your mood. In the end, it pulls you down, and sleep becomes the centre of absolutely everything. Insomnia is what we're talking about this afternoon in the Expert Hot Seat, and it comes in very many different levels, as we're about to find out from our life coach from Hitchin, Mark Shields. Hello.
Hi, Lorna, how you doing?
Are you a man that likes his sleep?
I love my sleep.
Yeah, I love mine. I can sleep on a washing line. Sometimes. Yeah, we'll find out the stats on this in a few moments and some of the solutions as well. So, Mark, just how many people are affected by sleep problems and insomnia?
Well, officially, the stats suggest that probably 30 to 50% of people struggle with insomnia. But in my experience, I think that we all do at some point. So probably up near a sort of 90, 95% of people struggle to sleep at some point. There's three different types of insomnia, basically. The first one is called transient insomnia, which we all suffer with at some point, which is short-term insomnia. It might be down to something that's happened. It might be some short-term stress. And that just lasts probably for a couple of days, perhaps up to a week or two. But then you get more serious. You get into acute insomnia, which is starts to develop some more serious implications towards your health. And that can last 3 to 6 months. Which is a long time if you're not getting proper sleep. And then you get what we call chronic insomnia, which is long-term insomnia where people can't sleep for years. We get this kind of mental thing in our heads that we all need 8 hours. And if we don't get 8 hours, then we're going to be tired in the morning. So we're programming ourselves all the time to feel tired. Actually, do you know how much sleep we do need to function? Do you know what the number of hours is?
No.
Have a guess.
Well, I think I might be getting too many. I normally go to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Right.
And I normally wake up at 7:30.
Well, that's very good.
Having too much sleep?
No, you're not having too much sleep, but we can actually function on 4 hours sleep.
No, you feel dreadful, Mark.
Well, the body can function physically if we have 4 hours sleep. We will convince ourselves otherwise. So if that's the case, we'll be saying to ourselves, oh, goodness me, I had 3 or 4 hours sleep last night. I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. Yeah. And that is all just self-programming. The facts are that we can survive and function just on 4 hours.
What I noticed from your fact sheet as well, which I kind of caught my eye, was that females, surprisingly, have more chance to suffer from insomnia.
Yeah, females have a 40% more chance to suffer. And when I researched that a bit more, I mean, that's a lot due to their kind of menstrual cycle, pregnancy, postnatal issues and body changes. And obviously with children it tends to be, obviously not our household, but it tends to be the lady that gets up to look after the little ones. So,
oh, is it not in your house?
Well, of course. I absolutely do, yeah. My wife gets a lovely night's sleep if she's listening. Karen, don't you?
Did you want to follow that with something? Because I felt there was something else coming in there, like a rude word of some sort.
No.
Well, whatever level it is, and we've talked about transient insomnia, acute insomnia and chronic insomnia. Coming up this afternoon, Mark, can you also help out with the solutions?
Absolutely. There's lots of ways to get over this. I think there's a couple of really good tips here to be remembered for listeners. I think, number one, the important part of the night, okay, the important part of our sleep is called REM sleep, rapid eye movement. And on average, people get between an hour and 2 hours of rapid eye movement sleep per night, and it comes towards the back end of the night. So if we're lying there wide awake at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, as long as we can get off to sleep by 4, the likelihood is we're going to get that important sleep, that rapid eye movement sleep, that dreamy sleep, that deep sleep. And that represents kind of 75% of our need, if you like. So for all those people that are lying out there and worrying, and we're going to talk a lot about this, some solutions, but worrying, one of the things to do is actually, if you understand at the back end of the night, REM sleep, it doesn't come, by the time it comes, you're normally asleep. Most people are normally asleep by that time. They're going to get that crucial sleep every night. The second tip, and I'm sure many people won't know this, is our body produces a stress hormone called cortisol. And cortisol does 2 rounds around the body, one to get us up in the morning between 8 and 9 o'clock. And the second round comes, depending who you are and your build and so forth, but 11:30 to 12:30. So if people are still up
at night,
yeah, after 11, the chances are, and quite often people say, I was absolutely wide awake. I don't know why. That's because the body's second round of cortisol has kicked in, and they're awake through it, so they'll have another hour or 2 hours of feeling that they can go up and do anything.
Is that what we call our second wind?
Yeah, it is actually,
Because you're kind of, somebody says, would you like to come out for the evening? And you're thinking to yourself, I'm a bit tired, but yeah, go on then. And then you get to about 9 o'clock and you hit that, I really need to go to bed. And you're thinking to yourself, could I just wander out of here and no one will notice if I slipped away? Then bang, you're right, about 11 o'clock, 10:30,
that's
11
right,
o'clock,
yeah.
You're like, hang on, just found me second wind here.
That's it,
yeah. So that's what it is.
Nothing to do with the 6-pint or anything, but it'll be that second round of cortisol that should hit us when we're asleep. So if we're up, so what it tells us, if you go back to prehistoric man, at night, it was a dangerous time. And I think at that time the body was prepared for anything, and it's between 11 and 1 in the morning first night. And that's carried forward, and that's why we produce it.
Do you think the problem is then, some people think, I can't go to bed, so the later I go, the more tired I might be. But actually, if you went a little bit earlier, before the second wind kicked in, you probably do yourself more favours.
Yeah, I think that is one of the things we recommend. So often when we're treating insomnia, people are going to bed at 11:30, and the first thing I'll say is, right, I'll explain that, and I'll say, you're going to bed too late, let's try 10:30. And 50% of people come back 2 weeks later and they're sleeping absolutely fine.
You've told us that there are 3 types of insomnia, but your fact sheet also says, to get the scientific bit out of the way, that there are 2 categories, the main causes of insomnia.
Yeah, in the clinic we separate the two. So I call it manageable, although stress isn't manageable, but manageable insomnia, which is all about life and balance and stress and so forth. And unmanageable insomnia is by something that's imposed upon you. So if you have a bad back, if you're pregnant, natural ageing, as we get older, we need less sleep, any sort of serious illness or pain disorder, people struggle and become insomniacs through that. So I call that, unmanageable and imposed.
But can you help all those kind of people?
Yes, you can. I mean, you help them in different ways. So with people that are like, I put into the first category with life balance, that tends to be managing their life's balance. So their stress, their relationships, their home life, how they're relaxing, what is their bedtime routine. It's more difficult to work with the unmanageable imposed conditions, but in the world of kind of unconscious therapy, so hypnosis, NLP, cognitive behavioural therapy and so forth, you can actually work with pain and you can work with these things by using the mind to reduce the pain, therefore to help the sleep. But the most interesting guy was a guy called Joe, and Joe lived in the Channel Islands and he was a taxi driver. And like you mentioned earlier about clocks, Joe woke up, he was overweight, and he woke up at 10 to 4 every single morning. And he didn't get to sleep till he was going to bed at midnight, waking up at 10 to 4, and then literally going out and doing his round. And so he came to see me a couple of years ago, and the first thing I did was used NLP to remove the clocks from his mind. So he had a direct association between 10 to 4, no sleep and insomnia and his associated behaviour. So I did a couple of quick techniques with him and removed the clocks. So when he thought about insomnia and sleep, he didn't get the clocks anymore. He couldn't believe it, actually. He was not for 6. It was quite funny, but it helped him. I focused him on the REM sleep to take the pressure off all this obsessive worrying at the front end of the night. We all do it. We think we're alone, but just say, look, Joe, the valuable sleep is at the back end of the night. So just relax and it'll come. We talked about the cortisol, didn't we? I did that with him, got him to bed earlier, had a good bedtime routine where he went to bed at the same time every night. No food or alcohol 4 hours before he went to bed. We uplifted his mood a little bit by something called 5-HTP. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's serotonin and mixed with a vitamin B complex, 3 and 6B vitamins, because the sleep hormone, melatonin, has an impact on our mood hormone, which is serotonin. So often people struggle with a lack of melatonin and which affects their sleep. They're not getting enough. He sticks in my mind because he could not believe that whole issue with clocks. he'd had it for years, and all of a sudden he just couldn't get a clock in his head anymore.
What, that he was obsessed that he had to go to bed
10
at this
to
time?
4. No, he
that's
would
when he
awake
woke up.
at 10 to, on the dot. And I'm sure there are a lot of listeners that when they wake up and they start to become kind of worried about their sleep. Obsessed is a strong word, but worried, conscious of their sleep. They wake up at the same time every morning.
Oh, well, I do that. Yeah. 8 o'clock. Is that what you need to do? Take that clock out of your mind?
Yeah, if somebody is waking up every night at the same time, then probably it's worth them. I mean, there's lots of other things they can do first, but it's worth them seeing somebody who works this model and does this work with them, because you can destroy associations. So in his case, I destroyed the association between 10 to 4 and sleep.
Nikki and Nathan Buzzers says, I have no problem getting to sleep, but I keep waking up at 4:30 every single morning. My mind starts buzzing. I can't get to sleep again until about an hour before the alarm goes off, and I feel awful, as if I've woken up in a dream. It lasts at least half the day, and it's driving me mad.
Right, OK. Well, for Nikki, that sleep pattern, I mean, it depends what time she's going to bed, obviously, but let's assume she's going to bed at a reasonable hour. That waking up very early in the morning is a sleep pattern of stress, OK? So, or anxiety, fear, worry, too much going on. And the sheer fact she says, her mind is buzzing, I would think, and she would know that if, she may be stressed, too much going on. So there's a number of things she can do. Obviously, that stress needs managing. Okay, so there's a host of things, like, for example, an exercise regime that helped her probably 3 or 4 times a week, half an hour a time. A very important point is caffeine. Caffeine, people should avoid. Anybody suffering with any sort of sleep disorder should avoid caffeine completely. And this is probably unknown as well. I was surprised, but caffeine stays in the body for 40 hours.
After you've drunk a cup of coffee?
After you've had coffee. So, Coke, all of those things, 40 hours. So, which is why we say none at all, because you can have a coffee or 2 or 3 coffees in the morning, wake yourself up, think by the evening that it will be gone. It's not. They rely on other things to get them to sleep. So, for example, alcohol is a big one. Mm-hmm. Everybody, the amount of people I see, they are all, or 99% of them, drinking to help them sleep. But the liver will start working around 4 o'clock in the morning, which will wake you. Then you're dehydrated, anxious, because alcohol affects different chemicals in the brain. So often you're lying there then worrying about the next day and how you're going to cope. There's a short-term gain to be had, but in the long term, they've got to stop that, really. They've got to stop drinking at night and just allow their body to do its thing. And even if you go 3 nights without any sleep, on the 4th night, I've never met anybody that's gone longer than that, and on the 4th night they'll sleep. The body will force you into sleep.
Yeah, but how can you continue your day with 3 days no sleep?
Very, very difficult. I think the first thing to do is to understand the cause. So identify a reason as to why this is happening. And it could be a number of things, but it'll be stress related, or it'll be a problem in a relationship, or something worrying somebody. So identify the cause and then work with the cause. So rather than mask it and use substances and alcohol to knock yourself out, you're not really dealing with the cause. You're not going to get rid of it. You need to address it, and you can do it. You can do it for free. There are books, there are CDs.
If you can't sleep, and we're not talking about 3 days of I've had bad sleeps, or a week. We're talking long term.
Yeah.
Really, you should go and talk to your GP about this.
Yeah, long term. If you're into that 2nd or 3rd category, long term, you should, and you can't identify a cause, then you should go and see your GP. They will possibly recommend sleeping tablets. I'm sure a good GP would leave that again to the last resort. But if you get onto sleeping tablets, they are addictive, and you can come to rely on them. But for a short-term problem, they can help as long as the GP is supportive of that.
Hope you all have a better night's sleep this evening after today's Expert Hour. Mark, thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next month, which I think could be a fascinating Expert Hour again, when we learn to read each other's body language. Am I really listening to what you're saying?
Yeah, a lot of fun with that.
When I say, do you like my top? And I know now where to look for your eyes. He doesn't, it turns out. But he doesn't know that I know that. I'm looking forward to it. That would be brilliant.
It'll be good fun.
Mark, we'll see you next month.
Thank you,
Thanks
Lorna.
for coming in.
Thank
Mark
you.
Shields, our life coach from Hitchin here on The Afternoon Show.